Welcome back to another episode of the Secular Homeschool Revolution. I'm your host, Ashley, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, we are going to discuss the audacity that our kids have when they tell us no. But before we dive into it, let's just get a life update, podcast update, because I love sharing that with you guys. So for my life update, for the most part, we are all feeling much better. I'm still getting a tickle in my throat when I go outside for allergies, but like today, it rained. And yesterday it was chilly, but before that it was hot. So my body is going through the weather changes with the allergies, but for the most part, everyone is feeling better. We have been preparing to participate in the Youth Entrepreneurship Pop-Up hosted by our co-op. And this one is a really big deal because I hosted a youth entrepreneurship business fair back in 2019, and I did the whole thing by myself, and it was such a huge undertaking. I mean, trying to figure out marketing, trying to find youth entrepreneurs, trying to find a location, try to find sponsors, trying to get traffic to go to the pop-up shop, and it was so exhausting, and I didn't end up getting a lot of traffic at that first one, but I have since then hosted several other ones that were predominantly for homeschoolers, and now we're in 2024, and I shared the idea with our co-op, and then my co-founders were able to help support put it together. So it's not me doing it by myself, but it's shared, and it's a much more pleasant experience. But the big thing is we're going to be participating in the pop-up shop, or I mean the location of the pop-up shop will be in downtown at this gorgeous, gorgeous park. And we have over 35 youth entrepreneurs who are homeschooled participating. And we will have the traffic because this is such a popular park. And also, it's the same day as the Cesar Chavez March, and the march ends where our pop-up shop is going to be. We also had the San Leon Ballet Folklorico dancers ask if they could be a part of our pop-up with a performance. And so that's really cool. I love that cultural aspect we're going to be offering with it. And all of the kids overall in co-op were working so hard on their businesses because they did take an entrepreneurship class, and they learned about branding and how to use Canva for branding. They designed their own logos. They practiced like their sales pitch. They even did like a Shark Tank where the kids could give them feedback only if the kids wanted to receive feedback. And so it's overall just been 7 weeks for the most part in the process, and the last 2 weeks have been just like fine tuning it. And my kids have participated in other, business fairs, pop-up shops for kids, but each time they want to create a new product, which I'm okay with, right? But I feel like I'm in this like unschooling territory, and excuse me if I offend anybody. I feel like there's two types of unschoolers. I feel like there's like the free range unschoolers, like go chase it, explore. And then there's like the unschoolers who, when their kids find an interest, the parents are like getting all of the resources and support for them to just take this deep dive into this new self-led interest. And I feel like that's how we're doing the pop-up. And I'm trying to give them the space to do their thing, but I'm also like on this fine line where I don't want to hurt their feelings, and I do like the uniqueness of like child crafted things, but I also am like, will this sell? Because I don't want them to get their feelings hurt if something doesn't sell at the pop-up. But then I also have to realize, and I'm processing out loud, that there's growth in that too, and let them experience it. because that is a life lesson. Like, oh, well, next time, maybe these colors aren't as popular, or maybe this wasn't as finished as it could have been. I've been playing ping pong with my reasoning skills on letting them create. So Kari, my 7 year old, she was going to do tarot card readings because she worked really hard to learn how to do 3 deck readings, but she has since transitioned into polymer clay earrings. Our city was offering free polymer clay jewelry making classes at the rec center. So she took a couple of those classes and has fell in love. And she's made about 24 pairs of earrings. Then Parker, my oldest, she is going to do bookmarks. So she used Canva to design her bookmarks, and I believe she came up with 17 different types of bookmarks. And we got them printed on cardstock, and we're getting them laminated, or she's got to laminate them tomorrow, which I don't want to laminate all the bookmarks myself, so it'll be a learning process on how to teach her how to use the laminator. So wish my patients luck. And then Langston, he's too young. He's going to be there being a support friend. And my husband's also going to DJ the pop-up shop. So I think it's overall going to be a really fun event and a lot of opportunity to grow and learn and see how other kids are presenting at their table and their elevator speeches and just their overall presentation. And so I'll give y'all an update on how that goes next week. As far as my podcast, so last week I had about 5 stars, like 5 stars, or like 5 people who left me 5-star reviews. And then between there and now, I'm up to 11 5-star reviews. So thank you. I appreciate it. I am over 50 listeners or followers, and I'm way above the 300 mark of how many times my episodes have been played. I appreciate the love and the time that you guys are taking to listen to my episodes, because I don't take anybody's time for granted. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But now let's get into like when our kids have the audacity to tell us no. And this is really just stemming from all the times I've been triggered this week. Oh, because also in co op, my oldest is taking a fashion design class, and she's always had the coolest fashion. She's such a quirky kid, and like she is always loved rainbows, and so she will wear a bright rainbow outfit anywhere, anytime, and people compliment her. And so in this fashion design class, she's working with her friend, and they're coming up with ideas. And I was like, well, what about this? And she's like, no. What about that? No. Like, I'm the one who doesn't have style or fashion. And it was making me feel some type of way. And most importantly, it was making me feel uncool and not fashionable. So it's me wanting to process and work through my kids telling me no. So let's get into it. I think we all, as homeschooling parents, have come to understand that homeschooling is not just about academics, but it's also about creating an environment where our kids can thrive emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. But what happens when we as parents are also on a journey of healing ourselves? So let's talk about when we ask our kids to do something, and it could be a simple request, um, you know, to just do what I ask them to do. And instead of giving me a cheerful, sure thing, mom, or you got it, dad, it's a no. And so this sometimes will shock my system because of just my own struggles and baggage from my past. A no for my kids can be downright triggering, and it can just dredge up these memories of feeling unheard or disrespected as a kid, or it could just tap into my own personal insecurities on whether I'm doing a good job or not as a parent. And sometimes our kids saying no isn't about us at all. It's not about being defiant or being rebellious. It's a sign of them asserting their independence or expressing their own needs and boundaries. And I have to remember that when I'm like in this triggered state because it's really hard to see that. So I have to like go on this like mental checklist of like, okay, what's happening in this moment? Is it as bad as my body is feeling in the moment of, is it really that disrespectful? Is it harmful? And so as I'm going through this checklist, I do understand that in this moment it is more about me and all that I have going on than it is about my kid. And that's part of me like checking my program. I'm like, okay, Ashley, check your program before I respond. And this just like blows up, and it's all of these unnecessary feelings. And I do think a little bit of it is me being jealous because with my oldest, she is, a neurospicy kid. She's on the rainbow of, the spectrum, and she is very monotone and just a very literal person. And so her no is a no, cut and dry. She never feels the need to give you an excuse on why she's giving you a no or reasoning. It's very much a no. Even like when she's in social situations, social circles, if they're, doing an activity or planning to do something that she's just not into, it's a no, no, thank you, and go on about her day. And for me, because I have my own personal baggage and issues, I'm like, oh, do you want to be a part of it? Are you being left out? Do you need a friend? Do you want mommy to sit with you? And she's like, no. She's like, I like my own company. And that took, and this might be going off a little bit off topic, but it was harder on me than it was on her. And it took a lot of understanding on my part of like giving her space and her asserting her independence and her her own doing her own thing. And I had to give her that. And so it is funny because she doesn't like peer pressure doesn't really impact her in that way. And she's okay of walking away, so she doesn't have FOMO. And that's fear of missing out. Now, my middle kid, she is very much a no, but also a no and why you should change your answer to her answer. She doesn't give you her reasonings on her no. She will convince you on why you should change your answer. And I think that's interesting because I'm a work in progress, and my no usually comes with a unfortunately I can't because da 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 da. And I have not mastered the skill of just using no as a sentence. The other day I shared on my Facebook this reel, or I don't know, yeah, the reels on Facebook, I don't know, or shorts on Facebook. And it was this lady who wasn't receiving compliments well, and she was oversharing. So they're like, oh, I really like your hair. And she's like, oh, I got it done at this salon. Or she said it was like a wig and XYZ. They're like, oh, I like your dress. She's like, oh, I got it at the thrift, or I got it at the mall. My answer is usually the thrift store because I'm a thrifter. And she was just sharing all of this other information that wasn't necessary when a simple, oh, thank you, oh, I appreciate that would have worked. And I do that. Like if you say you like my outfit, 9 times out of 10, it's from the thrift store. And 10 times out of 10, I'm going to tell you, oh, I thrifted it. Or sometimes I wear wigs. Again, here I go, oversharing. I naturally have like thick, curly hair, but I don't always want to detangle it, or like I'm going a couple days past wash day, and I will say, "Oh, I have a wig on," but you don't need to know that information because you're complimenting my hair. So that's what I need to work on without giving all of this background information. And I need to learn like a thank you and a no is a sentence. But as I was saying before, so when my kids tell me no and it's triggering for me, I do have to take myself out of the situation and out of my own emotional baggage, pause, reflect, and try to understand where my kid's coming from, because I understand it's also about recognizing my own past experiences and they don't have to dictate how I respond in the present. And so just because something may have triggered me or triggered something from my past doesn't mean I have to let it control me in the now. I do have the power to choose how I respond, and I want to respond with patience and empathy and understanding. And it's also okay if I can't do that in the moment and I have to walk away and I have to like talk to a friend or write it down in a journal or go to Reddit and read through some thread. I love Reddit too. Read through some threads so that I can come back and make it not traumatic for my kids because of my own personal baggage. And every time that you like check your program in the moment, you are allowing yourself to have real growth and real healing. And each time it's going to get easier and easier and easier. And so it's just about us putting it into practice. And usually their no's aren't disrespectful. They're just triggering this like past moment that we had that we are still that we never got the opportunity to work through. And so that's what we're doing in the moment, and it is hard. Let's just say at times it can be hard, but it does get easier. And while it is hard to hear a no, it's also important that we give our kids the autonomy to say no and what that means for fostering their independence and authenticity. When we give our kids the space to say no, we're not only acknowledging their autonomy, but we're also teaching them the invaluable skill of setting boundaries. And by respecting their no, we're validating their feelings and showing them that their voice matters. And it's such a mind-blowing experience for me now because I started this journey later with my oldest. And so unfortunately, she's had to go through the healing journey with me the longest. And so I see my 3-year-old, he is so good at saying, oh, this doesn't feel good. It's a red flag. And so we've started using that language around the house. And so when it's something he doesn't like or he feels like it's crossing his boundary, he'll say red flag or he'll say that hurt my boundary. I never had the opportunity to use that language with my oldest because I didn't know better, but now that I know better, I'm doing better. And I think it's crazy that at 3 we're starting this conversation for him to be on the journey to be, emotionally intelligent. And so that's part of building that emotional intelligence is empowering them with the word no and that we are validating their feelings, because beyond teaching them to tell us no, they're also learning to tell other people no. And that's going to instill them with the confidence to speak up for themselves and to advocate for their own needs and to stand firm in their convictions. And I feel like this type of empowerment will lay the foundation for like a lifetime of healthy relationships and self assurance. And I keep saying and but I get so emotional thinking about that because as a kid, I was always told I was just too much. I was too loud. I had too big of a personality. And because I was told that so much as a kid, I didn't want to take up space and I tried to shrink myself. And I'm still on this journey of trying to expand and take up my own space. And so I feel like my kids seeing me practice that, they're able to practice it as well, but I never want them to feel small. I always want them to live their truth and be their authentic self. And when we're allowing our kids to just express their true feelings, we have to let them do it even when it contradicts our own expectations, because that's really what's going to help foster their authenticity and to honor their own emotions instead of learning that they have to conform to other people's expectations. And so it is triggering, but it really has everything to do with me, again, not them. Because I do want them to feel supported and nurtured with their independence, and I want to help them become the best versions of themselves. And I think that is such a powerful gift that I could give them, me and their father could give them, to help them navigate the complexities of the world around them, because we didn't learn that until it was too late and a lot of ouch moments happened. But they're, I feel like, getting a head start. So, most importantly, this is all going to be about leading by example. We have to show our kids what it looks like to embrace our flaws and tackle our fears head on and love ourselves no matter what. Because when our kids see us living our truth and taking risks without fear, they're going to pick up on that and they're going to start doing the same. And at the end of the day, homeschooling isn't just about drill and kill, hitting the books. It's about taking care of the whole kid, their mind, their body, their soul. And we're here to help them build up that confidence to chase what they love, to be resilient through the tough times, and to have the self love to just fully be themselves. So, to all of the homeschooling parents out there who are on this journey of healing and self discovery, remember that every hurdle that you jump, every button your kid pushes, and every moment of growth you experience is just a sign of all of the effort and hard work that you're putting in. And trust me, the payoff is going to be awesome. I was debating if we needed to do a segment on the disrespectful no's, the no's that make you want to square up. I'm just kidding. But like those no's where you really have to have a deep toolbox. I like to have like some conflict resolution skills, like to, do some cool off moments. I like positive redirection. I also like role playing or addressing the situation, like how could we have handled this more productively? How could we have been more constructive with our answer, making sure that there we are re-emphasizing boundaries of mutual respect between me and them, because ultimately I'm a human too, they're humans too, and we all should be treated with respect. I don't believe in disrespecting kids. I think they should be treated like humans, and sometimes in society we miss that and we think, oh, they're a kid, they're not worthy of equal treatment. And so I don't agree with that. And so if we're having a moment of just like a flat out disrespectful no, I think it's priority to address the boundaries of you you're not offering me mutual respect. And I also want to make sure that I wasn't disrespectful in my delivery, because I want them to be able to reinforce healthy boundaries. And in order for them to do that, I have to model it. But usually it's some type of miscommunication or misunderstanding that can work through it. But yeah, a no can feel disrespectful at times. But I would say a huge percentage of the time, it's not a disrespectful no. At least in my house, it isn't. But if you do feel like it's an ongoing thing, I definitely think you should try to identify some conflict resolution skills, work on fostering an environment of like open communication so that everyone feels safe and comfortable expressing their thoughts and feelings without judgment, and creating opportunities to like check in with the kid so that you're establishing or creating that safe environment. Also, role playing what positive, respectful communication looks like. Encourage the use of like I statements and active listening to facilitate constructive conversation. And I do think that is important that you give full active listening. You give eye contact, your body is directed at them, you're giving engaged body language because that does make them feel that you're listening, and hopefully you actually are listening, but they're important in that moment and that their voice is worthy of being heard. So those are a few things you could do if you do come across a disrespectful no, and that way you're not resulting in any negative responses that will undo any type of progress that you've created. But even if you react in a way that you're not necessarily proud of, that's a great opportunity to go and model and practice. I'm sorry, I crossed your boundary. I could see why you're feeling this way, and taking full accountability, because that's also healthy for your kids to see you taking accountability, and it establishes another level of trust. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Hearing the word no from our kids can be tough, and it can definitely trigger some deep emotions within us, but it also can be an amazing opportunity for growth, both for us as parents and our kids. And by embracing the challenges of parenting, we are acknowledging our own triggers and working through them with empathy and understanding. And we can create a homeschooling environment that truly revolutionizes our kids' education. So keep embracing the journey, keep empowering your kids to speak their truth, and keep revolutionizing their homeschool education one no at a time. And together we can create a world where our kids feel heard, valued, and empowered to be their authentic selves. Thank you for tuning in today's episode of Secular Homeschool Revolution. Be sure to subscribe for more inspiring conversations. And until next time, keep shining bright and leading the revolution in homeschooling. Oh yeah, I'm still working on the ending because my mom said I needed an empowering closing motto for my podcast. So if you have any ideas, let me know.